cut in half. Okay? After it's dried for a little bit, so next class, you turn it over and you work reductively using a different tool, and you trim away excess clay. So you use a tool that looks like this.
How do you call it?
I'll do an in-depth demo later.
How do you call this instrument? How do you call it? Name. Name.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were saying hold it. Sorry.
No.
This is called. I call it a loop. Technically it's called a loop tool, like L-O-O-P. This is a big loop tool. There's different size loop tools. So next class I'm going to show everyone how to do this. The reason I'm mentioning it now is because whenever you're throwing, you have to leave enough room to be able to cut the clay away without cutting a hole in it. And so that's what I'm talking about, is you'll probably lose some. So today, if you were to cut your holes in half after you throw them, this is going to be the inside shape. The outside is going to look more like this. Okay? It's like extra clay at the bottom. Later, we're going to use that tool to trim all of this away. Okay? So if you don't leave enough clay at the bottom, you're not going to be able to do that later. Okay. So that's the goal. Everyone has their toolkit. We will use this later. I'm going to put it in here for now. Today, the tools you're going to need are this, which is called your wire tool. This is used to remove clay from the wheel. A sponge, which you're going to use to move water back and forth. This is called a rib, R-I-B. There's lots of different materials of ribs. This is a wooden rib, so this is one option. You can use that tool. We're also going to be using this rib, which is a metal rib. And what's unique about this is that it's flexible, whereas the wood one's not. Okay? There's other types of ribs as well. This is a silicone rib. So some of you might encounter this tool in lots of different materials, in different sizes and shapes, okay? But these are all what are called ribs. This is a wooden knife, I think. That's what I've always called it. So just as it is. We're also going to use this tool today to help us remove our pieces, okay? And then another tool that might be really useful is your needle tool. This is not a needle tool, but it's the closest thing I could find in there. Everyone has one in their toolkit. It looks like this, except it's not twisted. It's just like a little needle. You can use it to poke and draw stuff, okay? So all of your clay has gone through a process that's called pug milling. All of your clay has gone through a process called pug milling, which is like a big machine that has a big auger, like a big drill bit in it. And so when you get your clay from Trinity in those cubes, it's gone through that auger, and what that does is it mixes it really, really well, it homogenizes it, so it's all the same consistency, and it also removes air bubbles, which is really nice for us. So I'm gonna hand this clay around. Everyone feel it. Feel that there's some soft spots, some hard spots. Your clay should not feel like that. That's what we're going with. You can see that red clay that's in there is a little bit harder. So your clay out of the bag should not feel like that, and it should already have the air removed. But as you go through this process and this assignment, you're going to throw some bowls and they might collapse, or you might not keep them. You might want to turn them back into usable clay later. Once you've thrown them on the wheel and opened them up, when you close it back up, you capture lots of air. So now you have to go through a process of removing air from it, okay? And because this is the clay we have right now, this is also reclaim. that's just studio clay, and you can see, you could feel that it was hard in some spots, soft in others. It definitely has lots of air in it. So I'm going to show you how to remove the air right now, and then I'll go over it again later whenever it's more pertinent and you're doing that. The way to remove air in clay though is through a process called wedging, which is W-E-D-G-I-N-G. Maybe there's another E in there or something, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not spelling it. It's kind of hard. So whenever you're wedging, this is our wedging table. So these are our zones for wedging. The easiest way to get started is to make a triangle towards yourself, like this, and to have it be thicker back here and thinner this way. So it's tapering down and there's a triangle, okay? You put your hands on the top and on the corners. So you're hovering over both of it a little bit. Does everyone see that right there? You pull it up on its end, pretend there's an X right here, and you just push forward a little bit. Not hard, that's all it is. And you pick it back up, reposition your hands, push straight forward again. And so by doing this a lot of times, 30, 40, 100 times, we can remove air. So what you're not doing here is this. That's just capturing air. Okay? It's a really very light push. I'm not pushing very hard. If your hands are too much on top and you're doing this, what happens is it gets wider and wider away from you like this, and then you think, oh, what am I gonna do? And you do that, and you capture air again, okay? So your hands are both on top and on the side. I'm pulling up on the end, pushing straight forward, pushing straight forward. And as you do this more and more and you practice it, you get this convex shape on the bottom, and so you can rock it back and forth really easily. So there's a rhythm of doing this. And so I'm really only spinning it at the top, and then it's pushing clay out the bottom here. And see, like this little bit, that's an air bubble that came out and popped. For your 10-inch bowls, you'll need around 3.5 pounds of clay, okay? No more than that for now. And then descending as the bowls get smaller. So we have this scale here, and you can check your weight over here. So I'm right at about 3 pounds for this one, okay? I'm gonna do one more. I have 2 to demo on.